Good morning, what's happening? It's time to give you a new message. It's today about the Karpman's Drama Triangle, which is a psychological framework that can help you to understand any relationship, but also especially toxic relationships. Um, I also want to talk about morality also as a framework and how morality is multi-layered and not bipolar in nature or dualistic in nature, even though the idea of good and bad, especially in our moral system that is especially influenced by Christianity and the ancient Greek world, is based on a dualistic worldview, but the multi-layered nature of morality comes from the complication and multi-layeredness of human social interactions. So, to begin with the topic, I want to talk about victimhood. Victimhood is a survival strategy often used by people who belong to the dark um, tetrad or dark tetrahedron, whatever you call it. These people are abusive and have strong traits that refer to borderline narcissism or antisocial personality disorder, but they are subclinical, which means the traits don't show so strong that these people immediately get behind bars or end up in asylum. So these people have a form of impulse control. These people might be highly intelligent, so they understand if I can control my dark sides, I will end up behind bars or in asylum. And this is also the reason, by the way, why we in our world do not see people regularly undressing in shopping malls and starting to dance and sing insane things, or being highly aggressive, acting out, because the people who do are in asylum or behind bars or get a very strong medication so that they are basically fried vegetables. The same reason is with our medical system. We don't see the suffering. The suffering is always behind walls. Okay, we only see the people who can live in the social environment to a certain degree and are able to carry themselves. So, victimhood as a survival strategy of Dark Tetra 8 personalities. Um, the thing is that these people use the victimhood as a camouflage, so they are abusers, but the official version is that they are victims. This is why they don't reject the role. They want to be victims to enable them to be abusers. Normal, healthy response to being victimized is to reject the role and do anything you can to get out of this situation, okay? In other words, by the way, what we can learn from this healthy reaction to victimization is we don't want to be pushed in any role of the Karpman's drama triangle, by the way. We don't want to be persecutor, we don't want to be victim, and we don't even want to be rescuer. We don't want to play these games, okay? So, yeah, the victimhood role is using a narrative, and the narrative is I am a good person, and this is why I'm not the abuser. This narrative can consist out of sub narrations like I have had very bad luck in my life. I was abused all my life. People treat me bad, and this is why I'm now entitled to do the same. Or all my friends say I would never do this, what I do, you know? And you can debunk this very easy because the simple truth is A person is only then not an abuser if the person does not abuse other people. So the real narration would be, I'm not an abuser because I don't abuse people. This is truthful and simple. My coffee is finished. Now let's delve into the topic, the real topic today, the three roles in the Karpman Drama Triangle. And I prepared a paper for this because this way I can structure it in a better way. So it's a social model of human interaction often used in the analysis of dysfunctional relationships. It identifies three primary roles that individuals can occupy. Victim. The person who feels oppressed, helpless, and powerless. They seek sympathy and support from others. While they may appear to be the innocent party, victims can manipulate others into rescuing them and refuse to take responsibility for their situation. Rescuer. The individual who intervenes to save the victim, often uninvited. Rescuers feel a sense of moral duty or self-worth in helping others, but they may actually be enabling the victim's dependency and perpetuating it. Can you imagine that? The helper destabilizes the victim because the victim needs to go through pain and learn and individuate, but the helper stops it from doing so. And Sam Vaknin goes to the extent to claim that online coaches and people who tend to be the doctors that want to doctor on everybody and try to save everybody are actually dooming their victims for eternal victimhood. So, rescuers may also neglect their own needs. Yes, they gave up on themselves because they have no life. This is why they have to help others. And in disgusting ways, disregard any boundaries and doctoring around in the psychological and physical life of other people. So that's the rescuer. What a hero. Yeah, because they focus on saving others. Persecutor, the antagonist who is perceived as causing harm to the victim. They may appear controlling, critical, or oppressive. However, their actions might be a reaction to provocation or manipulation by the victim. So the victim will jump on the floor, put all fours in the air like an opossum, and be so unbelievably devotional like a dormant psychopath, and play the victim so convincingly, and at the same time start making 1,000 small provocations in the background until the persecutor finally understands, I need to persecute, I need to punish this victim. All right, so this is how the roles are all three potentially toxic, but potentially authentic as well. So this is where the multi-layeredness of morality comes from, because you can't say the victim is good or bad, you can't say the rescuer is good or bad, you can't say the persecutor is good or bad. All of these roles can be absolutely evil and abusive and create harm in the life of other people, but all of these roles can be chosen, supported, and not rejected as well. So this is where we have a moral system of good and evil, which is bipolar or dualistic in its nature, but through the complicated nature of narratives and human behavior, we get a multi-layered system where everything can quickly switch or be even overlapping, and be both states at the same time, referring to quantum physics, where there are superpositions of factors. We go on in our context, role of the empath. Empath, due to their high sensitivity and desire to understand and support others, can be especially susceptible to becoming rescuers. Their natural inclination is to offer help, often at their own expense. However, this altruism can backfire. It can actually really backfire, as the victim may become dependent on them, draining the empath emotionally and psychologically. Paradoxically, an empath might also shift into the victim role if they feel overwhelmed or exploited. If the empath's offers of help are criticized, they may even become a persecutor in moments of frustration. This fluid movement among roles is part of the dynamic nature of the triangle. how roles can switch. But let me drink a coffee that I intentionally not cut out so that you can see that I really drink coffee. And we have time to process this interesting topic. Yeah, how the roles can switch, by the way, borderline personality people, as well as narcissists, as well as psychopaths can switch as well. So they really ridiculously know they literally change self states when they're pushed in stressful situations. Isn't that crazy? So they switch up, they switch it up, yo. One of the key insights into the Karpman Drama Triangle is that roles are not fixed. They are very plastic. People often move from one role to another within the same interaction or over time. For instance, victim to persecutor. A victim, once they feel emboldened or angry, might retaliate against their perceived oppressor, thereby becoming the persecutor. By the way, I get strong sadomasochistic tendencies here when I read this, because the victim is like a person that behaves in a way to get tortured because they like it, but then when they get tortured too much, they say, "Oh, but not those, not so hard, not so evil. So I just want to play a little bit, but not so much, please." Um, Rescuer to victim. If the rescuer efforts to help are unappreciated or rejected, they may feel unappreciated or used and see themselves as the victim. And then we have persecutor to victim. A persecutor, if confronted or outnumbered, I like it to be outnumbered, it really challenges me, may portray themselves as misunderstood or unfairly blamed, adopting the victim role. Yeah, that's not a persecutor, that's a victim. This fluidity of roles highlights how subjective the perception of good and bad actors can be in human interactions. Very well summarized, ChatGPT. Yes, very well summarized. 4. Moral ambiguity of the roles. None of the roles in the triangle are morally pure or all good or all bad. That's what I'm saying. For instance, the victim may genuinely suffer but can also be manipulative, exaggerating their plight to attract support. The rescuer may seem selfless but often has a hidden motive like boosting their self esteem, which can border on controlling behavior. So we see addictive behavior here too, and narcissistic supply for fragile egos. So people may choose their role just to extract support for their own created false self image and get support. I repeat what I just read. The rescuer may seem selfless, but often has a hidden motive like boosting their self esteem, which can border on controlling behavior. So we see that there is a kind of dopamine addiction here, or expectation to release dopamine. Okay, yeah, this means that if you don't get the expected reaction of others, you don't get the dopamine release, and this is why you start controlling behavior, because you try to coerce the role that you want to play and get supported. So there is a war between the roles. The persecutor might be perceived as cruel or oppressive, but could be reacting to provocation or seeking to establish boundaries. Yeah, I get a small vibe of this in, there is this archetype of a strong male that is impulsive and a manipulative, Jezebel spirited woman might be tempted to control this powerful man, but she can also use this man against himself. So a bull is easily triggered by a red flag, and then you can say, "Oh, the man acted out, he committed a crime, he did this or that," and can easily be controlled. So this man is not really dangerous. In order to be dangerous, a man must be able to control himself. Otherwise, he will be controlled by others, and his own potential will be used against him. This moral ambiguity means that assigning blame or innocence is often difficult. People in any of these roles can experience suffering and can also contribute to the suffering of others. So, I wanted to introduce to you the Karpman's Drama Triangle because it can be applied to any relationship dynamic, to any family, because it does not necessarily to be dysfunctional or destructive. Actually, there is a lot of argument that triangles and even triangulation can be constructive and helpful, but again, not necessarily. And relationships very, very often can be understood by the geometry of the triangle or even the tetrahedron. So I want to give you this as a tool, make your own discernment, and I would also suggest or recommend for you to use it for your own introspection and self growth in the future and to reject any roles and not be tempted to take on any role. May it be victim, may it be persecutor, or may it be rescuer. These roles often have the danger of being used against you or making you kind of addicted to playing these roles. In other words, speaking in the words of Miyamoto Musashi, the famous samurai, you should not have a favorite weapon in battle, which means you should not have a favorite role that you want to defend because this makes you vulnerable and weak. In other words, be yourself. And you are a master of every weapon. You are who you are in any situation, may that be a victim, a persecutor, or a rescuer, it doesn't matter. But do not hold on to any of these roles, rather, always reject the roles. You leave things behind all the time and move in your authenticity, moving forward. And do not let anybody reduce you to one role or one favorite weapon of use. You just, not just, you are a human being. You more than that. Understand? Let's go.